When Tony was Prime Minister and your husband was president, we always sensed that really meant something, the special relationship. Feels a little bit frayed. And I just wondered your take on where Britain is in the world and where Europe is in relation to some of these challenges that you're talking about.
Well, first, I'd say that the relationship remains central. It remains central in what is an ongoing struggle between democracy and autocracy. But you also have what are continuing and to some extent perpetual uh, challenges in the relationship. And, we saw that recently with President Macron going off to China. And, once again, as is kind of the script of a French president saying we need to be independent of the United States, we need to have our own military and defense. Well, yeah, we've heard that for decades, but when push comes to shove, the partnership is stronger.
Did that worry you?
I've heard it so many times from, so many French presidents. It doesn't worry me because I don't see any potential strategic approach to realizing it because uh, there isn't an standing army in Europe that is a EU instrument. There is not a currency that is going to really compete with the dollar. I think that's been proven over and over again. And I don't think that individual countries and leaders can be as impactful alone in whether it's diplomacy with China or anything else as they can be in alliance with the United States.
One way we'd love to go is to get a little bit of a reflection on the US's role in the world.
Hmm.
And it strikes me that there's something both very moving but a bit troubling 25 years on. Because when we look at the situation in Sudan or Ethiopia or Somalia or even Yemen, one doesn't perhaps feel America's centrality in the way that we did 25 years ago in relation to this peace agreement here in Ireland. What is your reflection on that? Do you think the world is changing? We're into a new global order?
Well, I think we're always evolving, and whether it's a new global order or new alliances or new adversarial relationships, that's part of what you have to expect to be occurring at any time in history. I actually think that currently, under the Biden administration, the United States has reasserted leadership, but it does mean that there's been certainly a reinvigoration of the Atlantic alliance, given the uh, threats from Russia with its invasion of Ukraine. I think there's been some smart moves in the Pacific around uniting countries to deal with the challenges posed by China. But there's always more to be done. And you mentioned a series of countries that are in terrible troubles right now, from civil conflict and terrorism and so much else. So it's an ongoing, set of challenges that the United States has to be meeting. And I think there is some progress in recovering from what was inherited from the prior administration and the chaos that was engendered. But there's still a lot more that has to be done to rebuild the trust and credibility of the United States.